If you're building something to optimize your success and build within the current paradigm of business and being in your world or having you in mind, what feels most important to me at this point in time is to actually architect a different context for our businesses to operate inside of. And what I've been really diving into recently is unpacking the norms in marketing that can be very manipulative and exploitative. So we're going to get into that specifically through the lens of mother and father wound, and then zooming out to see from a social cultural perspective like how these energetic influences came to be. So let's first define, there's a very cute dog right here that's a little distracting me. Let's first define like what is the mother wound, what's the father wound. So father wound is that part of us that is performing for love and approval. It's saying, am I enough? It's saying my worth is based on my performance, on output, on my productivity, on how much money I make, on how many people are in my spaces, on how much status I have in the dominant culture. And that kind of wounding or karmic imprint or, hole in your aura is going to attract circumstances where authority without attunement hooks into your energetic system. And that hook is going to feel so familiar and exciting. And this is all happening on the unconscious level, right? That there's this drive externally to outsource our authority to the expert that is saying they make X amount of money using strategies, come into my world, and you too can feel worthy in this, right? And so this is really capitalizing on an implanted insecurity. So let's, before we go into mother wound, like how have fathers, how have men come to this place of being misattuned to their children, right? Because it is within our like normal biology to attune to those in our surrounding, especially our kin. And so what is happening in our society and our culture with fathers being so disconnected? Well, the role and responsibility of provision for a family within the context of an industrialized culture creates that disconnection. It creates men whose whole mission and purpose gets hijacked into my worth is based on how much money I make, and my role in the family unit is to provide financially. And so operating inside of, whether you are in corporate, whether you have your own business and you're building something in a framework that already exists, it can create this separation where emotion and sensation is, again, that split between mind and body. So the focus is on the external world of the future, of controlled outcomes to ensure provision and worth by means of metrics, output, money, right? So with that programming running in someone's unconscious, then it's going to take a switch in frequency, a switch in operating in someone's unconscious, then it's going to take a switch in frequency, a switch in operating, being present to the relational space and the emotional, psychological needs of others, right? So it's actually really sad how men in our society, so many families, there are these like empty shells of fathers who just have never cultivated a connection with their children by way of these systems and structures. And then that perpetuates generationally and is marketed to, right? So it's manufactured insecurity because we're always looking for our father's approval, our father's attention, our father's interest, and his focus is always on something external to the child and to himself, right? Like he can't give it to you because he can't give it to himself because there's this conditioning that has been superimposed over the organic template of a man, of a father, of a person in relationship with another. And so that is manufactured and then it's harvested, right? It's harvested in saying, buy this product, buy this service, come into my mentorship space, subscribe to this membership, whether it's like in person or online, and you two will be able to perform at this capacity to meet these metrics, to feel worthy. Okay, so that is also perpetuated by using tactics of like scarcity and urgency, of scarcity. Let's stay with scarcity for now. So scarcity is like there's not enough. So not enough wound, scarcity, like, you know, FOMO tactics, prices are raising, doors are closing, bonuses are expiring, whatever it is. And this like other wound of not enough, need to perform, are a match. So when those two energies meet, if you're not conscious of it, there's a pull, external driver, to enter into that space to resolve this patterning. Okay? When we bring our conscious awareness to these energetic currents, to these power dynamics, to these social cultural trends, then the space is back in our sovereign authority rather than being outsourced unconsciously. And what's really interesting about all of this is that the founder of modern marketing, of public relations, was actually Sigmund Freud's nephew. Okay? And if you know anything about psychology, you know Sigmund Freud is the father of psychoanalysis and basically like the founding father of modern psychology. And saludos desde Guatemala. Hola, de Mexico. Okay, we're gonna go on a whole tangent about the mental health industry, which is going to be a podcast soon. We did one on the Rich Revolutionary podcast, Role Reversal episode with Ani Eza, and soy de Canada. And in that episode, we dismantled the education and healthcare systems. And she's also a primary school teacher and a healer. Sí, es canadiense, pero vivo en Mexico. So she has direct experience within and surrounding these systems where, again, authority is outsourced, knowledge to the education system, and health to the healthcare, that's actually a sick care system and indoctrination system. But she's also a trained mental health professional, and so she's one of those people that are like deconstructing the systems from the inside, and that can't be me. I tried to do that for a while, and I'm like, no, that is not my role in this shift in consciousness. I'm here to archetype what comes next. So I do love having these conversations though with people to get into the nuance of, okay, like how is this system essentially like broken and failing people? So getting into the mental health care, it really is this like diagnostic symptom band-aid paradigm that is perpetuating repeat clients, same as the healthcare system. And so Sigmund Freud really pioneered this by looking at people's psychology and psyche and their unconscious drivers through a lens of there's something wrong with you, the individual, and creating all of these like diagnosis criteria to cluster categories of symptoms and prescribe medication, essentially. And so in this era, there was a lot of things like unethical treatment of women and children that you can definitely see pressured into our current society, and we're going to get into the mother wound shortly. And his big thing was all about like making everything linked to these latent like sexual drive and probing at people's sexual trauma and suggesting and implanting and like really manipulating people's psyche. Okay, so this man is the uncle and the pool of research and the worldview and framework from which marketing and public relations has been created. And so again, it is not here to serve women and children, and it's separating a man from his ability to be energetically literate. Okay? And so let's get into the mother wound now, and through a marketing lens. The mother wound is still that same worthiness, which, like, let's come back to the understanding that our worth is inherent and our expression of our unique creative soul gifts is what we're here to offer, right? And so that's inherent. There's nothing we need to learn externally from education system, and there's nothing we need to fix in terms of our psychology or our biology from the healthcare mental health system, right? It's just a reframing of the context, which is what I'm here to do with business models as well. So in my world, I always say we're not only creating unique content, we're creating unique context, which I call New Earth business architecture, with the focus on marketing now through the mother wound. The mother wound says, I'm not enough, right? Or sorry, I'm too much. Father wound's I'm not enough. Mother wound is I'm too much. I'm too emotional, too sensitive, too ambitious, too sexual, too sensual, too loud, too expressive, too intelligent, whatever it is, right? I have my tea here. It's sleeping, it's ready. And so what that produces is a feminine energetic that is, again, in this proving energy by overgiving and try to compensate, and also not accurately being able to see one's inherent value, and trying to dim and suppress and shrink oneself so that they're not feeling like too much. Okay. How does this show up in marketing, right? So a lot of the prevalent message that we're seeing is like, get unstuck, or stop playing small, reach your full potential, be seen, right? And like, it's all of these things, this analysis and critique, it's not saying that like speaking to those things is inherently bad. It's about how it's communicated. There's a big difference between saying, hey, I've created this product, I've created this service, I'm really excited about it, it's something that I've worked myself through that's helped me to come into more of my unique creative expression, versus you need this thing, it's going to fix you, it's going to help you perform and optimize better in the current cultural context, right? And a lot of times, marketing will either overtly or covertly imply that you do not have everything you need and all the answers within you. So you need to purchase a product or service to get to that place of knowing how to move forward, right? So it's adding more instead of chipping away the layers that have created this distortion and dilution of your original essence that is whole and complete in everything that you need to provide for yourself and your family, and to be expressed in your creativity in this world. So, the mother wound in marketing, again, it will show women being like over the top with theatrics, right? They're bopping around in like luxury clothing, in like private jets, in this big show element of being on stage with lights and smoke and just like the whole nine of like showtime and over the top. And so for the girlies that are like, oh my god, I feel like too much, then that's going to create a draw, because you see somebody being what you thought was too much in yourself. It's like, oh, like let me join her space, and then she'll show me how to be like her, rather than creating a space for you to be more like you, okay? And I think a lot of these like independent brands start off with like good intention, where they are actually attuned to the people in their spaces, where they are holding space to allow people to be seen and heard and held and come to realization of the answers that already exist within themselves. But what happens when this is operating within an industrial culture and societal context is that year over year, there's this expectation to produce more and to increase efficiency. And so this is when structures and frameworks that override the soul deep intimacy that is actually required for someone to come to the answers within them in their own pace and rhythm, with regurgitated strategy where you get into this room with like hundreds of people and you have like 5 minutes to kind of like figure out what your question is, and the answer that you get is, for you, I feel, and then it's the same answer that every other person gets, right? And like, sure, there are these patterns that you recognize in a business after providing a service for people year over year. And rather than speaking at someone, rather than adding more information, more strategies inside of a person who, if you have the perspective of shared power and sovereign autonomy, is already whole and complete. And the way that they're going to come to their answers of how to take that next step that's going to produce the results that are contributing to themselves, their community, and the collective, to create a new context and a new paradigm that is rooted in regenerative practices rather than extractive ones, then it is absolutely a disservice to operate based on efficiency rather than intimacy. So the next time you are scrolling through the gram, you're consuming content, or you're consuming advertisement, or you're in someone's low ticket offer or mid ticket offer, or hear someone pitching, notice if there is an actual genuine soul resonance of, oh, we are meant to grow together during this time, or if your mother and father wounds of to perform your worth and feeling like not enough, or trying to compensate for feeling like too much and dimming yourself, seeing somebody who has evolved through that, is what is hooked into, and making a decision from conscious awareness, from consensual choice, rather than just following the energetic current that is being manufactured and leveraging the insecurity that has been implanted within you from this industrialized social conditioning. Okay, that is all I have to say for today. Thanks for listening. And if you're curious to go a layer deeper with power dynamics and unlearning these manipulative, extractive structures of marketing, then let's connect, reach out. I am opening some spots this week for one-to-one intensives in my offer that is called Audacious, and this is where we're redefining that relationship with ourselves so that we can show up in our work, in our mission, and be seen for our genius rather than trying to compensate for our wounds. I want to give an example here, actually. Usually I have more tangible examples of what I'm talking about, but that was really theoretical. So there's a woman inside of my community who is an absolute, like, branding genius. She created her whole own architecture of soul alchemy branding, and she holds the space for you to go into the Akashic Records and meet with the actual energy of your brand, and to have a somatic and visual experience of the whole landscape that your brand is bringing into this world through your office. And I see her as like this potent, powerful leader, and yet the way she's marketing herself is very diluted, is very playing it safe to not be seen as too much, under this perception that people aren't going to understand, or like she can't find the words to articulate what it is that she does, what the value proposition she's here to serve, because the context of where she's coming from is design school, is marketing in a way of showcasing results and communicating in a way that is incoherent with this world that is being birthed through her creative expression. And so this is a perfect example of who Audacious is for. It is for someone who is at a threshold of being so fucking over with diluting and distorting her work due to these unconscious relationship dynamics, and is so here for diving into the depths of the unconscious, of the shadow, to bring that material forward in an alchemical process through embodied evolution to create new earth business architecture in her work, so that she is seen and paid for her genius. So this offer is a 3-week intensive. It's Telegram voice memo mentorship, so that it can happen asynchronously. And this is a really great fit for mothers who are fully present with their children and are coming to market and create in their business in these pockets of time that can be fluid and unpredictable. So if this feels like a threshold that you are in the midst of, reach out to me, let's connect and speak about best fit and next steps. Available DMs, TikTok, and Instagram. So thank you for being here, thank you for listening live or on the replay on YouTube. And comment what most resonated for you. And it helps so much when you share these episodes with people in your community to help ripple the mission out to more people. So if something landed with you, please do share, either directly with your friends or on your stories, and add like a little blurb of what felt most relevant or impactful for you. And of course I will always repost you, and on that cycle of reciprocity to cross-pollinate audiences and really come back into that village community with the work that we're here to do. Thanks again.